In this video, I'm going to chat to you about my practicum and when I was a student teacher. Hi everybody, welcome back. It's Emma Jane here and you're at Kafoople land. This channel is all about teaching tips and how to live well. I hope that if you like what you see here today that you'll consider subscribing. So Beck from Talkin Chalk made a fantastic series. I think she's still going with her series actually, all about pre-service teachers and what it's like to be on a practicum or a placement, and just some tips and tricks along the way to help new pre-service teachers who are going on a prac. Beck invited some of us to join in with her and to share our experiences, so I thought that I would chip in, and this video is all about my experience as a student teacher and when I went on my practicum. Practica. I don't know what they're called, but I did 4. 1 per year. Anyway, I'll explain all that. You probably would love to go and check out Beck's videos, so I'm going to put a link to her series underneath this video so you can go and check them out. They're fantastic. And I'll also probably put a little card up here so that you can go and click on that. So yeah, I just thought I'd go through what I did when I was at uni, and we can share experiences. If you want to tell me down in the comments below what your practicum was like, or if you're currently doing your practicum, I'd love to hear from you. I'm actually coincidentally a supervising mentor teacher right now. I have a prac student with me right now, which I'm really enjoying. And I thoroughly recommend becoming a mentor teacher once you've got a little bit of teaching experience up your sleeve, because it's such a rewarding experience to be able to do that and to be able to, assist other teachers in becoming teachers. It's wonderful to be able to assist pre-service teachers to become teachers. I really enjoy that process. So I'm just going to quickly chat to you about my practicum experience, and we'll just take it from there. So at my university, and this is a long time ago now, we're talking over 20 years ago, so it's hard for me to remember all the details. Bear with this old lady. But at my uni at that time, you did 4 practicums. You did 1 in first year, 1 in second year, 1 in third year, 1 in fourth year. And they gradually became longer in length. I was really lucky and I got to go to some different places to do my placement practicum. I went to a private university, and so I went to all private schools when I was doing my pracs. And I actually can't remember, how bad is this? I can't remember where my very first one was back in 1992. Long time ago. I have no idea where I did that one, but I imagine it would have been somewhere in the Central Coast, fairly local to where I was studying. The next one, I went to Melbourne to do my prac, and that was awesome. The third one was in Auckland in New Zealand, and the third one was on the Central Coast, I'm pretty sure from memory. Yeah, Central Coast. So I did pretty well in my pracs. I was looking back, I found my academic transcripts, and I got distinction first year, high distinction second year, distinction third year. The fourth year I got a credit. So I don't know what happened there, but anyway, mostly I did really well in my pracs and I really enjoyed them. I remember feeling really, really excited to go and to do them and to just enjoy that feeling of being in front of the classroom, and I really enjoyed it every single time that I did a prac. I do remember in first year that, and we did our pracs around Easter or just before Easter time, and I remember that after that first prac, like heaps of students didn't come back, and I think that's really great that if you can do a prac pretty early on, and I know all the unis do it, they organise it in a different way and it's all different these days, but I really liked how people got that experience of standing up in front of a classroom, because let's face it, anyone who's sat inside a classroom kind of thinks they know how to teach, but it's not until you actually stand up in front of a class as the teacher that you know whether or not this is for you. And so I think it's really good if unis can do it pretty early on in that first semester so that people know whether or not they should continue in their degree. So I rummaged around my house and I was really hoping to find my reports, my prac reports. Unfortunately, I couldn't find them. So If at any time I do find them, I'll come back to this video and I'll add to the description some of the comments that I got in my reports. I did find one thing. I found this, which is a lesson observation, a lesson assessment from a supervisor in 1994. So this is my 3rd year. And some of the comments are like this. I mean, it's interesting what we had to have, like all these elements, which are still relevant for a lesson. And we had to have professional qualities like voice, dress, being on task, encouragement, flexibility, room awareness, attention, behaviour management, teacher rapport, classroom climate, all that sort of stuff. So I'm just going to read you the comment that I got. It said, my planning was very good. It was a competent lesson and well handled. You have established a good classroom atmosphere. Your behaviour management works well. Knowledge of students' names is excellent. And I got highly commended. I don't know, you must have got a grade, like a grade for each lesson that the supervisor watched, I guess. So anyway, that was pretty cool. Just a couple of memories I'll go through with you. I was really excited to travel over to New Zealand, to Auckland, to do my 3rd year prac, and just personally on the way over, my boyfriend came with me. We both did the prac there, and we'd already talked about getting married and everything, but he put the ring on my finger on the plane on the way over there. So we officially got engaged on the plane. So that's a very memorable prac for me because of that. And I actually went back through my photo albums and I found some photos from that prac, which I'm going to insert here. You'll see that I've got really short hair, and it's pretty cold because I think it was winter time. I wish that I had photos of me in the other pracs as well, especially my first prac. Imagine if you get photos of yourself in your very first prac and be able to look back on that. And I don't even know who took these photos. It might have been my boyfriend, fiance at the time, who took them, because I don't ever recall anyone ever wanting to take photos of me before. If you're on your prac now, if you're a pre-service teacher, get someone to take a couple of photos of you teaching. It's really cool to have that memory. And in that prac, I remember I thought it was quite cute with the Kiwi accent. The kids would all say to me, "Hi, Moss," and that was kind of different and new for me. So that was kind of cute, and I had a really nice relationship with those students. And I think there's a photo here I'll put in where we went to church together. So that was lovely. My supervising teacher for that prac was excellent, and she was a very, very organised person, and she taught me one thing I remember is she said to me that she trained herself to never ever go home until the next day was 100% prepared. And then she did that for a while, and then she would never ever go home on the Friday until the next week was prepared. So I've tried to do that. I always prepare the next day. I can't always prepare the next week. But yeah, I always prepare a day ahead, and she just had some really good little practices like that to keep herself organised. Remember, this is the days before we didn't even have the internet in those days. Everything was like handwritten. We had computers, but we did not have the internet. We did not have all the tools that we have available now. So I remember in my final prac, I must have had 2 supervising teachers, because I remember I was with this man who didn't seem to have very good control of his class, to be honest. And I was like delivering a lesson, and I just remember really clearly I was losing control of that lesson. The kids were calling out, being smarty pants, being disrespectful, and I remember just like not knowing what to do. And I looked at him. He was sitting at the back of the room, and I looked at him, and he just leaned back in his chair like this. Can you believe it? He just leaned back in his chair and crossed his arms like this and just like smirked at me. And I was furious. I just thought, how could you leave me up here? Like, I was obviously floundering. I didn't know what to say, how to handle these kids, and they just walked all over the top of me. And I probably, because of that experience, I'll never ever leave a pre-service teacher up there floundering like that. I just think it's really unfair. You really need to be the safety net for the pre-service teacher who is trying to do their best to control the class. And, you know, there's some really tricky classes out there. Another prac, I had a supervising teacher who was really strict and like really orderly and no personality. But I learned from her as well. And I guess my message here is, if you're a pre-service teacher, always try to learn from your supervising teacher, even if they are nothing like you, if their teaching style is totally different, if you have a different philosophy on education and teaching, just try to learn something from them. And this person taught me that. I remember her saying to me really clearly, she said, everyone has the same 24 hours in the day. She says, this is what I tell my students, and I won't take any excuses. She was very firm. And she said, everyone has the same 24 hours in the day. It's up to you what you do with it. And you've just got to get your work done. You've got to get your assignments in. You've got to do your homework, blah, 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 blah. So she was really quite inflexible in that way. But that stuck with me because it helps me to manage my time better and to make choices about efficiency and about ordering my tasks that I have to do. I do remember struggling to have clothes, sort of dressy clothes for my practicum, for my placement, because when you're a student you don't have a lot of money, and you're just sort of wearing jeans and trackies and jumpers and t-shirts all the time when you're a student. So I do remember that was a tricky thing. So my advice on that is just go op shopping, borrow from friends, borrow from relatives, because it's only you know, however number of weeks that you have to do. So there's no point going out and spending heaps of money that you actually don't have on clothes that you don't need yet. My advice as well, because looking back, I did all of my pracs at private schools. I went through public school myself as a student, except for my final years. And then I did all my prac teaching was in private schools. So my advice is, if you're able to, and I know you can't always control it because it's hard to find placements sometimes, but if you have any say in it or any control over it, try to get a mix of different kinds of schools in different areas, like locations and different socioeconomic scenarios, and also public and private. The Melbourne prac was really great, but I was freezing cold. It was so cold, and I remember going to school. I would leave the house where I was staying with my auntie and uncle in the dark, like the pitch black, and I would come home in pitch black. And I did not enjoy that part of Melbourne. But yeah, and I remember because I had to get dropped off at a bus stop by my uncle, and then I had to catch 2 buses, and then I had to walk a fair way as well to get to the school. And I just remember like carrying my bags, and my fingers were just like icy cold. It was not very nice. But that was my second year, and I had a brand new boyfriend, and he came from the Central Coast to Melbourne to pick me up from my prac at the end of my prac. I married him. So they are just a few memories of mine from my pracs way back in the dark ages. I wish that I had more. I wish I had more photos. I wish I had more memories. I wish that I'd written stuff down, you know, but I didn't. And so if you're doing your pracs now, try to document stuff if you can, because it's a really special experience and you've got so many opportunities to learn. And I just want to encourage you to try to have fun with it, and to try to get a good relationship with your mentor teacher, your supervisor teacher, because you can learn from everybody. You can learn something from every single person. Because I've got a prac teacher at the moment, my mind's really on pre-service teachers and their placement. So I'm actually going to do a little Friday afternoon or weekend reflection vlog on each week while I've got her, which is for the next 4 weeks. So keep an eye out for those videos, because I'm going to make it into a little bit of a pre-service teacher series, a little bit like what Beck's done, except my content's going to be slightly different. So yeah, that's all I've got for you now. Don't forget to check out the videos that I talked about. They'll be in the description underneath this video, and I'll put a video of mine here somewhere so that you can check that out as well. And apart from that, I shall see you next time. This video, I'm going to have a chat with you about my own practicums. Practicii. You probably want to go check out Beck's videos, and I'm going to put a link to them under this video. And I'll probably also... So I have no idea what I just said because I got interrupted by the phone call. So I'm going to just say what I think I was up to. So, or if you're doing a practicum, I'd really, really love to hear. To it. As I think that as the